The first time I found the staircase, I thought I was dreaming. It was a perfectly ordinary day. I'd been hiking alone in the Appalachian woods, taking a route that felt untouched. The forest was calm, maybe a bit too quiet, but I shrugged it off until I found it. A staircase, going up to nothing, right in the middle of the woods. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. It wasn't attached to anything. No walls, no foundation. Just 10, maybe 12 steps leading up to, well, nowhere. The strangest thing? It was pristine, clean as a bone, not a leaf or speck of dirt on it. It didn't belong there. I felt it immediately, this overwhelming sense of wrongness, like I'd stumbled across something forbidden. And as I stared at those steps, a thought slipped into my mind, uninvited and chilling. Don't go up. But curiosity, well, you know how it goes. Part of me wanted to turn and bolt, but another part, a bigger part, wanted to know what was at the top. I took a step forward, feeling a strange chill prickling at the back of my neck. I'd never seen or heard of anything like this. Out here, miles from anything, was a staircase leading to nowhere. I glanced around, almost expecting someone to be watching, but I was alone. Just me, the trees, and this impossible set of steps. The forest felt different here. The air was heavier, almost charged. I took a step closer and then another, and that's when I noticed it. There was no sound, not the rustle of leaves, not the chirp of birds, not even the whisper of wind through the trees. The silence was absolute, like I'd walked into some hidden pocket of stillness where sound couldn't survive. My breathing was loud in my ears. Each step I took toward the staircase felt like it was pulling me deeper into something wrong. I can't explain it, but every instinct in me was screaming to leave, to get out of there and never look back. But I couldn't turn away. Finally, I reached the bottom of the staircase, looking up at those steps leading into nothingness. They looked old, but at the same time untouched, like they'd been built yesterday and left here for no one to find. I raised my foot, hovering over the first step, feeling this strange pull, a compulsion to go higher. It was like something was calling me, urging me on. I stepped up, and the silence grew even deeper, if that was possible. A heavy, oppressive quiet, pressing down on me like a weight. I took another step, then another, and with each step, my vision seemed to blur at the edges. My heart was pounding in my chest, every beat a reminder that I shouldn't be here. By the time I reached the fourth step, I felt dizzy, like the air was thick with something invisible. My skin prickled and I felt this intense pressure in my head, like I was going somewhere I didn't belong. And then I heard it, a faint sound, like a whisper just beyond the edge of hearing. I stopped, straining to listen, but the whisper was gone. I took another step and there it was again, a little louder this time. A soft, urgent murmur, words I couldn't quite make out. I looked around, but there was no one there, just the trees and the empty air around me. I was on the seventh step when I felt something cold brush against my arm, like a gust of icy wind, but the air was completely still. I froze, and that's when I realized my body wasn't casting a shadow. The sun was up, shining down through the trees, but there was nothing. It was as if the light was ignoring me. A feeling of dread washed over me, and I knew I had to get out of there. I turned to go back down, but my feet wouldn't move. I was paralyzed, held in place by some invisible force, something that was holding me here on the staircase, refusing to let me go. And then slowly I felt my body turning back toward the steps, my legs moving on their own, carrying me up higher and higher. I fought it, tried to pull myself back, but it was like my own body had turned against me, pushing me up the stairs with a single relentless purpose. As I reached the top step, the world shifted. One moment I was in the forest, and the next I was standing in a place that was empty. A vast, endless expanse of gray nothingness stretched out before me, silent and lifeless. There was no sky, no ground, just an endless void. And in the distance I saw them, figures tall and thin, standing perfectly still, watching me. They were too far to see clearly, but I could feel their eyes on me, cold and unblinking. A chill ran down my spine, and I tried to step back, but my feet were rooted to the spot. The figures began to move, gliding toward me with a slow, unnatural grace, their bodies shifting and flickering like shadows cast by a dying light. My mind was screaming, every instinct telling me to run, to get out, but I was trapped, held in place by some unseen force. As they drew closer, I could make out their faces, or rather the absence of them. Their faces were smooth, featureless, like blank masks, but their eyes were pits of darkness, deep and endless, drawing me in, pulling me toward them. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. The silence was absolute, pressing down on me like a weight, suffocating me. And then one of them reached out, a hand stretching toward me, long and thin, fingers ending in sharp claw-like points. The moment it touched me, my vision went black, and I was falling, tumbling through darkness, a void that seemed to stretch on forever. When I came to, I was lying on the ground back in the forest. The staircase was gone, vanished without a trace, as if it had never been there. But I knew it had. I could still feel the cold touch of that thing's hand, lingering on my skin like a brand. I stumbled to my feet, dizzy and disoriented, and made my way back to the trail. The forest was alive again, birds chirping, leaves rustling in the breeze. But it all felt wrong, like a thin layer of reality had been peeled away, revealing something dark and ancient beneath. I never spoke about what happened, never told anyone about the staircase or the figures in the void. But sometimes when I'm alone in the woods, I feel it, a cold, creeping presence, watching me from the shadows. And I know deep down that the staircase is still out there, waiting for the next person foolish enough to climb its steps.